Call the meeting to order. Smoking Valley, in which we learn, work, and organize, is the ancestral, traditional, and unceded territory of the Smoking people, home of the Upper Smoking Indian Band. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as presented? Thank you.
So second,
Wayne,
Mr. Mayor.
Elliot, all in favor? Carried. Down to the budget. James.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Second to switch around.
So can I just ask while we're waiting, there was no minutes, so there's been no meeting since the second,
The minutes always go on the regular meeting.
so there hasn't been a regular meeting in council. December 17th got canceled.
No, it will be on the January 21st.
Oh, right,
meeting.
Jen, sorry, this isn't,
So,
I'm confused.
yeah, sorry.
But it is a council meeting,
It is.
it's a special.
I typically don't put them on special
Thank you.
meetings. They always go on the regular meeting.
Third time.
They're done
Which I won't, which is
next week.
Wednesday, next week,
Yeah.
next Wednesday. That should be.
Your coffee just spilled it.
Well, as we're waiting, happy belated birthday there, Jared.
Oh, happy belated birthday, Jared. When was your birthday? The 11th. Oh.
36, right?
Yes.
Every year from now on.
I'd be okay with
I'll
that.
be 36 later.
36,
Number in this note.
36 every year from now on.
That's right.
Another one that is.
My sister was 16 until she was like 30. So. Like, there's no way I'm 9 years older than you.
This is altogether too much time spent on ages.
Time stands still, like councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, again, just to review the financial plan that we left in December. There was a couple of alterations made between the time we left it on the 2nd and now. So I'll review those changes, make a couple of notes, and a couple of questions that can need to be answered by council. So financial plan bylaw, the 26 to 30. I think I got all the 26s and all the 30s now, according to the screen. Tax rate policy was not changed. Schedule B has been updated for the capital expenses with the removal of, I can make that a little bit bigger. Slightly. I realize it was quite that small. That a little bit better?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
It's page 62 of your agenda.
So with the removal
Or the
of
book, sorry.
the surplus operating fund and capital expenses, it dropped our capital expenses by approximately 1.15 million. Municipal taxation was slightly updated to express the changes from the review rule, which came out at the beginning of December. So the taxation revenue actually went up slightly. $1.15 million. There's a couple of capital projects that were shifted to reserves. The landfill scale is now being paid out of land sales as opposed to surplus operational revenue. The fire hall, the $200,000 that was originally slated to come out of surplus operational revenue is now off to the fire hall reserve. The Westridge Clairjust replacement is now on the water and sewer project, $7 million. We've accrued roughly about $700,000 of interest in the last 3 years under that account, so we should have ample space to be able to do that project under the water and sewer project. So contingent capital projects, so basically the ones that are based on surplus operational revenue have been removed from the financial plan. as to what was discussed on December 2nd. I'll pretty much throw it open to council and ask for guidance as to sort of how you'd like to see those capital projects that have been removed, so the ones that are based on surplus operational revenue. As I understood it, we wanted to have the strategic plan be the center of those projects, and then append the financial plan to add on projects as the revenue comes in through the year. If we receive grants or should there be operational savings through the year. I may not have been clear on that, so as I said, some guidance from council would be appreciated.
Can I, speak
Yeah.
on it? So that, I brought that up because, I didn't understand it as a request to remove the items from Schedule C. Like, my understanding was that they'd still remain on Schedule C, but that as a group, we were gonna decide what the priorities were. And then, so then I rewatched it again, because at the end of that meeting, everybody's eyes were kind of glassing over after listening to it and looking at numbers and everything. So I got the perspective from Councillor McLean in re-looking at it that he would like to see the feedback from the department heads, what their priorities are, because Carrie had said, you know, it's an overwhelming list, and then it can make the departments feel overwhelmed if it's there, but it's not being done, not being
Carrie,
acted on.
can you explain how that was done, so that
So
Councillor Gold
what we
understands?
did was we took all the surplus operating or surplus budgeted items, and we sent the list out to council, and you guys did your priority list for us, which is item 5.2. So it's broken it down there, so that council can see what the priorities are for the projects moving forward. Right now, there is no funding for those projects. You can certainly leave them on, that's council's decision, just as James said, he's looking for council's direction on how to proceed with putting them on or leaving them off. That's completely up to you.
So I understood it as they stay on, but we're gonna set our priorities and then go from there. But then from listening to what your explanation is of a strategic list,
So
priorities
we
list.
have a strategic plan and a list. If it's not funded, it shouldn't be in the budget. There's no money for it. If you put it in the budget, we're inflating the budget, saying we're gonna do a $15 million
Yeah.
budget, when we only can do 8 million, say.
Yeah.
So it doesn't belong in the budget. It belongs on a priority list, that if we have funding for it, and funding becomes available, then we can bring it back through a financial plan amendment to do the project. That's the way it should be done, not just put it on there and hope and pray that we do it, because then it looks like we're going to do it. Departments think, oh, it's been approved in the budget, we can move forward on, but there's no way to do it. So if we separate it, and here's the budget, here's the stuff that's approved for this year to move forward with that. Everything else that needs to be done is still a priority, stays on a priority list, but as it becomes available, as funding becomes available, then we add it to the financial plan as an amendment to the financial plan moving forward,
Okay.
with council's blessing to move forward on that.
Okay, so I understand that, and I hear what you're saying. And is that strategic plan going to become part of that priorities list, part of this as an addendum, or is that just something that stays off this completely?
It would have to be done as an amendment at a later time.
Okay, so it doesn't become part of the, because my understanding with the financial plan and this budget book and this bylaw is to kind of show, like, even though we're not doing it this year, it's on there for future years. And yes, sometimes it's on that line, but it's on a different year that has been added into. So it's there and it's not forgotten per se, or, so that's why I'm like, it gives an idea for what the plan is of the community. And I understand that you want it on a strategic priorities list and bring it on as the projects get secured funding. I agree with that. I'm just saying, is it the list and the plans gonna be part of this at all?
At this time, no.
Okay,
No, they're two documents that coincide. So staff have a priority, council has a priority. of things that need to be done. They're not fundable right now. They can be brought on afterwards. If you wanna put it in a 5-year financial plan and have it as like a Hail Mary, we can do that as well, but
Which is what we had been doing, doesn't mean we're
Well,
doing it right.
yeah, yes and no. We were putting it in a lot of it in the first year and then carrying it over and moving it off to the next year, to the next year, to the next year. That doesn't mean it's like, I mean, we have some stuff that's been on there since the first budget we did, that's just been pushed off and pushed off, like the scale, right? I think we've been talking about the scale since the first budget we ever did, and we're now still looking at doing the scale.
It's just the software now.
Yeah, but still, it's part of the whole project
Yeah.
right from the get-go, right?
Yeah.
So, put it on a priority list. As funding becomes available, staff is always looking for funding for the things that are on the priority list, because there's different grants for different things. Then they bring it back, James brings forward a financial plan amendment, and we add it to the budget. But it doesn't inflate the budget saying that this is stuff we're doing, and, cause we're not doing it.
Okay, so once the funding source is completed, then we can bring it back on, confirm, then we make an amendment. Okay, so it's just more amendments, or will be amendments throughout the year.
It just cleans it up and makes it so that we're not, one, creating an expectation that it's gonna be done internally or externally.
Yeah.
And two, it shows that we are being fiscally prudent and responsible to the taxpayers.
Okay, understood. And then just about the process of changing the bylaws. So if there's different processes, and I don't know if you were gonna speak to that later on, like, if there's a funding source that's confirmed at adoption, it's in Schedule C, right? Like if it's land sales or if it's otherwise, it's in Schedule C. Then once it's, or if it's, the funding source has changed throughout the year, we do an amendment. And is that legislatively required, or is that?
Yes, so the community charter says we have to do a period of public consultation for every financial plan or amendment that we do.
Before you
amendment.
spend the
So-
money.
Before you spend the money?
That's right. So the process will be that basically we bring it in front of council for 2 readings. It goes to a period of public consultation. Now, it doesn't specify what length of time that public consultation is. Could be a day, could be a week, could be a month. That'll be up to council how long the public consultation process needs to be and how involved it is, and what you guys feel comfortable with. Once we're finished that public consultation process, we bring it back here, put it to 3rd reading, and then one more time for adoption. It's a little bit more involved than the usual bylaw, but not significantly more.
So that's if we're amending. What if it's on the list and the funding source was confirmed on the list?
Then that doesn't change anything.
It's still gotta come before
It's gotta
council.
come before council for approval of the project in general.
Before it starts,
That's right.
in general?
Yeah, as per the purchasing policy.
And we're adding things to this year's budget that haven't been adopted yet.
That's right. Yeah, the budget is just a list of projects. The budget is a list of projects. It still has to come before council for approval of the source of funds and the contractor and everything else that goes along with it. Anything over $20,000 has to go in front of council.
Okay, that will be a question I'll have to ask on a sidebar.
Okay, because we do that now,
Yes.
if we have a contractor, we approve that. We usually approve the spending of the money when we hire the contractor.
Mhm.
That's part of the process. If we're putting an RFP out, or if we're applying for a grant, we usually say within the grant that the rest of the money will be through whatever source of funding.
Yeah. Yeah, the actual process of procuring vendors and doing projects is not changing. It's just, if the source of funds is not guaranteed, it's not going to the financial plan at this time.
And the financial plan up change, if we meet on the first Wednesday, James brings it forward for first 2 readings. There's a week between meetings, it can be approved on a meeting
Mhm.
after that. So it's not like it takes any more time unless council decides we wanna have an open house, or we wanna do this, or we wanna do that with the public consultation period, because it's like, $10 million project and you want this or that. But usually it's just a matter of your first meeting, you do your first 2 readings, second meeting, you can have your adoption.
Okay, so it's not necessarily delaying things.
It's very much similar to when we do a land use amendment. We take it to council, you do 1st, 2nd, we have a public hearing, then we do 3rd, then we go to another meeting and we adopt.
Instead of
the
a,
bylaw.
instead of a public hearing, there's a notice put out that there's
Yeah.
a change to the plan, and off it goes.
Very much similar to that.
Okay. Okay, I'm then satisfied that that will be the process. It's just that wasn't my understanding leaving the meeting of how it was gonna be. It was, I heard when you said it was a suggestion, but I didn't understand that it was all coming off because I understood it that it stayed on the agenda, but, or on the budget. But I have more clarity on that now, thank you.
It'll also matter whether we, what time of year it is as well. So if we are, right now we're at second reading, if we wanna add a capital project at this point, it's just a matter of adjusting the financial plan to put that on and make sure it goes to a period of public consultation. After we pass the budget, then it goes to a full-fledged amendment. We basically start from square one again.
Right, but the projects don't start until those steps have happened.
That's right. So it's a little easier to
What
add.
project are you referring to?
The renovation.
We approved that 6 months ago?
Okay, cause I thought that's what's in the budget as the security modifications.
We approved the contractor and the spending of the money this summer sometime?
Yeah,
Late summer?
and it's coming out of land sales.
Okay. It was a 2026 project, that's why I was kinda curious. I don't,
That should have been a 2025 project. We
it's
approved it.
2026-004.
We approved Jared putting out a contract for it. We approved funding for it.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not yet complete, so
Okay.
the deposit and the actual invoices will all come in 26. That's why it's on the 26 side.
that's why it's on the 26th
Yeah.
side, even though, okay.
Yeah, it's not done yet.
It's
There's
a
still-
carry forward.
There's still controls and stuff, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, so the contingent, yeah, so there are, and we'll probably discuss this in agenda item 5.2, but there are a couple of capital projects that council may want to approve before, to be put on the financial plan before, using the surplus operational revenue still. There's an arena condenser and things of that nature that,
So you're asking for early approval on some stuff?
yeah, you may want to. I'll let the directors kind of speak to that, and we'll go through the list one by one. So I won't speak to it right this second, but there may be a couple of capital projects that council may want to approve with operational revenue.
Yeah, Councilor.
There,
When do we make a decision in terms of amount of money brought in from assessments? In terms of, at what point, I just got my thing for my houses and they've gone up, kind of, you were aware of that, or
yeah, so.
prior to us getting the notices?
So BC Assessment publishes 3 different rolls. So the preview roll is what large part this is based off of, which is what they're going to do for the next year. The completed roll is what you see on your notices. That came out in January.
Okay.
I did some rough numbers last night. Looks like there's about $13,000 more tax revenue that needs to be added onto the financial plan at a later time. And then the revised roll is, should you appeal your assessment in January and win, BC Assessment will adjust it and release it in what's called the revised roll, and that's done in March. And that's what taxes are based off of.
Okay. Thank you.
So we're still a couple months off.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, there's one other like, not trying to frustrate people, but just points that, at the last budget meeting, it was asked, because we did the motion for the Kevany sidewalks purchase, and then it was asked to have the amendment prepared for the next meeting. Did that? Cause it's in 2025, correct?
We approved it at the meeting.
That was during the budget meeting on the 2nd, and I believe the,
I know the flood happened and we had meetings
No, no,
canceled.
We had a
and-
meeting and we approved it at,
I believe.
We approved it on December 2nd to
I
purchase.
honestly don't remember what day any of it
Yeah,
was.
so the, I had it and I lost it. Paving.
And then it was requested.
So
that
the
amendment-
financial plan, the maximum amount of expenditures at 303 in the financial plan. It wasn't 495. The difference of that is the Kevin.
Okay. So because,
So the
I mean-
Kevin, the Kevin was taken out of the financial plan in 2025.
yep,
We had a paving budget. It wasn't used in its entirety. Its object was to improve roads and sidewalks within town boundaries according to a schedule as proposed by Infrastructure and Public Works Department. So because that capital plan fit in the object of the paving program, it was removed from the paving program in 2025, which changed the amount of reserves available, which the 2026 is the carry forward for 303 as opposed to 495.
498, yeah. Okay, so as long as it was within the amounts, came before council, we've approved it, we don't have to do the amendment, although you asked for an amendment.
It's part of the, it's part of the paving capital. It's not really an amendment because it's part of the paving project which was already passed.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
There is still approximately $62,000 in the budget from surplus operation revenue going to capital project for cost sharing. Those are for DFA projects for the water park and for the playground. They're 95% funded, so there's still 5% left over. There may be some other operational revenue that needs to be spent on capital projects for cost sharing, and those will come up as they come up in front of council to be appended onto the financial plan. Sources of revenue, no change there. So Schedule C. So we still have the Ponderosa Lift Station generator, 38,000, and that's due to come out of the sewer reserve. Culverts and Lift Station, that's out of the $7 million plan. That's in progress right now. Hull Liquid Waste Pit is contingent on the RDOS needing another liquid waste pit, so when they approve it in their budget, it's essentially a flow-through cost. So we'll get the money, we'll spend it, we'll build it, and we'll operate it. Landfill scale software replacement, so that's out of the land scales reserve.
and like, I think we found what the reason why you present to us and you make changes while you're presenting, but then we get the documents and then they're not changed. And even that one isn't changed in the description, and you had changed it, but then it's still not. So I don't know if it's because when you're making the live changes, it's on your presentation and not the actual document, because when you print it and give it to us, that's why it gets confusing where it's like, we've made the change, but they're not in the actual document.
Are you talking about the object?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that should read vehicle scale software.
yeah. And you've changed that a couple times now, but it's not,
Yeah.
that's why I'm wondering, is it because you're changing it in the presentation document and not the,
It might be.
same goes for like the year of the bylaw. We watched you change it.
I'll save it. There we are. Okay. Does that read better?
Yeah, it's just when is it printed isn't gonna be good.
Public works yard replacement, so there's still a little bit more, so we still have a hoist, and we have some public works stuff that we still need to sort out with the insurance company and complete for the public works yard to be completed. So that's on there. Sewer trunk main replacement. That's the $7 million project. Angela Avenue Sewer Lift Station, that'll be a multi-year project. Riverside Crossing, we're nearing completion on that. There's still quite a bit of allocated funds, so we'll need to clear that up when it comes about. Fire truck, hopefully it's delivered this year. funding's all allocated for it through the fire department reserve. Park improvements. So, DFA covers 95% of that. We still have some surplus operational revenue, 5% that we need to contribute to that project. But that's, the playground structure, that was damaged during the 2021 flood. Situation table, that is a provincial grant that has not been used yet, I believe, and Ed's not here, so we can't speak to that, but there's still some more work to be done in conjunction with the USAB and some other players that are involved in that specific project.
Is there any length of time that we're required to do it within?
Every grant's a little bit different, so some have a limit, some you can extend it, some you can't, they're all different. So.
I don't think so with that one.
I don't think so with that one either, yeah. So. Residential water metering, we have the funding for it. We're just straight down the conceptual stages of how to distribute that, and we'll come back to council shortly with some more details on that.
Just as soon wait for a year on that one.
Big Bird?
Just as soon wait for a year on that one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, probably will take about a year before we get all our ducks in a row on that. So, the Public Works baking project, that is DFA funded again, but we're still waiting for some permits before we actually get beginning on that. Ladder truck. That's for a used truck, and it's out of the fire department equipment reserve. Fire department equipment, there's miscellaneous needs they need through the year for various equipment that they have. That's also that's actually out of a UBCM grant we get annually for that, so it's more of a flow through again. Fire hall number 2, that's for completion of the fire hall. We still have some other expenses on that. I believe some paving and things of that nature. So, and to actually equip the fire hall, tables, chairs, equipment, things of that nature. Animal pound building. That's part of the insurance claim for the Tillamook flood event in 2021. Protective Services asked me to keep it on there. Bulk water filling station, that will go where the well number 1 is located, or the new building, well 5 and 6. There's a alcove to build that, and that will remove a lot of operational headaches for Public Works, accessing bulk water needs for various people who need them as they come along. Industrial park expansion, so there's a swale on our 3 industrial lots that's been discussed by council before. We actually have a quote to fix it at that rate.
Yep, go ahead, Ryan.
We were inquired by one of the cooks that are doing the one building a lot with their equipment and everything else, and they have a indentation in the ground that they have to fill up, and so they were looking for fill that was more readily available than where they were gonna have to drive for miles to bring it and dump it and that sort of thing. They were looking at a big pile over on the right-hand side, but we believe that that pile is there for leveling out some of the other property. In my mind, if there's anything we can do to try to find some fill that's that's more available for them to bring back, because really in a way it's just enhancing our industrial park kind of thing. Mm-hmm. If we can come up with some kind of fill somewhere within reason, whether there's any part of the industrial park that we want lowered or whatever, in my mind, we should be doing what we can to help.
I think what we have there with that hill right now, we should see what those 3 lots that they're pretty much unsellable at this point. I think we should take care of those 3 first, and then if there's
Absolutely.
something left over, then I would say, yeah, for sure, you know, if it was available or whatever. Because that hill, if we took it down, would just make that lot A in the cul-de-sac more valuable. But you can only take so much of it down because we've got hydro lines on there, so, but some of that could definitely get taken down, but I don't know how much we'll need for those 3 lots, because that's a big swale going through there. It's
Yeah.
gonna take a lot of.
In my mind, it's just something that if we have anything available, and we should be trying to make it, you know, get it to them, and it is just enhancement of the
Yeah.
whole place.
Yeah.
If you just need rock, why don't we check with Copper Mountain and see what they have that we can, cause they can grind it down pretty small for us. They've said in the past that they're willing to help us with, waste rock. So if they can turn it the size of gravel or something, we can get somebody to truck it. Might be a small win for us.
Yeah.
Couple B trains and.
Drive those 250 tonners down the highway and
Just
send it
right
up
down
in
the
a
road.
hurry.
We don't have any weight restrictions on the road.
It'd take a long time.
You're getting paid. I don't know how you're gonna get through town or across the bridge, but.
Yeah, please take the highway bridge, don't take the Brown Bridge.
Take the Brown Bridge.
Anyway.
It's insured, right?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
You wouldn't make the corner anyway. There wouldn't be anything left in downtown.
That's right.
Okay,
Ah.
let's continue.
Nobody saw that, right? Okay, so, moving along, fire department training facility. The fire department has requested that. We have the money in the reserve fund. So that's on there as well. Bylaw compliance project, is ongoing right now. Original grant funding, and because it's a legislative requirement, if it goes over, it'll have to come out of surplus operational revenue. We're not anticipating it, but that kind of sets up the mechanism so that if it is an overrun, it does come out of municipal funds. Water park replacement, that is for the water park that was destroyed beside the Tulameen River during the flood event. Again, DFA has approved that, it just needs to be moved, and there's a 5% cost share, that's why there's a surplus operational revenue on it. SCADA panel, that's part of the sewer reserve, that's the last kind of portion of the SCADA that needed to be replaced from removing it from the cellular, the manual based system to the cellular based system.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's kind of a sample, but
Yeah. Paving program, again, the maximum amount of expenditure was reduced from 495 to 303 because of the Kebney purchase in 2025. And that's mostly what we use our community, Canada Community Building Fund, formerly gas tax, on. And we'll come to council with a plan for that in the spring. Statues, that's a standing project, $50,000 a year, comes out of land sales if it's available. The Westridge Clare Jester replacement, so it's reached its end of its operational life. But again, the interest in the $7 million plan should be able to take care of the source of funds for that project.
Question on that.
Yep.
So, we talked about that at last budget meetings, and the urgency is definitely there for it to be done within the year. That there was mention of parcel tax, so if this is done through that lending, is it something that's gonna become a parcel tax?
If it's done the way it's written in the financial plan, then no. But if you would like to change it to a parcel
No,
tax.
I just wanna have a discussion like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
You know,
The source
me
of funds
asking
is.
it doesn't, I don't want you to change anything, I just wanna, like, help me understand that, cause before it was, if it was gonna be the cost to do something for a specific area, that area should,
If we borrow the money,
if we borrow.
then we would make
We
those
did
people.
technically borrow that money,
Yeah, but as part of the bigger infrastructure
just to upgrade.
plan.
Okay.
That's the capital levy that applies to all properties in the municipality. A parcel tax would only relate to the specific area that was using the service.
Exactly, which was where it was, cause again, I can only do based on what's being recommended by staff. And it was recommended by staff that if that area requires the upgrade, and that it was discussed that that's a substantial cost, we would need to talk to the residents in the area that would be affected. So because we're using
Existing,
funds that we borrowed
that they approved.
as an overall, then we don't need to go through that process. We can just fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is because we have interest that's been garnered on that money for the last 3 years that we've had it.
Yeah, because expanding the sewer isn't an option, and that's, like, don't get me wrong, I agree with that. I'm glad that we don't have to do that, because that would have been a very uncomfortable conversation to have. But I'm just wondering, because it was recommended by staff that we do the parcel tax, now why we don't have to? Just clarifying, we don't need to now.
Just Jared found money, or somebody found money.
I did with Jared's help.
You did with Jared's help. Good job, Jared.
Okay, that's good. I just wanted to clarify that we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
How did you describe the criteria by which we determine whether it's parcel tax or not?
By what was staff was recommending. That's what,
That's where it comes from.
do you wanna answer that to the
So
staff? that spoke
to
to it?
back one step up, the source of funding is up to council. So if you'd like it to be funded with a parcel tax and devote that money to another project under the water and sewer, that's council's prerogative. If we want, if you'd like me to use the interest that's garnered on the $7 million project to be able to replace the Clare Jester without a parcel tax, that's also council's prerogative. So, the staff, there's not really a staff recommendation on it, it's where do you guys want me to take the funds from?
But at the budget meeting go ahead, Carrie.
So at the last budget meeting, I brought up parcel tax, because if it's just an improvement for a certain area and it only affects them, then generally a municipality will look at a parcel tax to pay for the upgrade or what is needed for that area, because it only affects them. But I think when we discussed it at that meeting, James quickly calculated the numbers, and it was quite high per parcel, was it not?
It's gonna be, yeah,
Quite
This is
significant.
800 or something like that.
It would have been quite significant and quite an impact on those properties. And because we borrowed the 7 million for upgrades to water and sewer, and it may be different areas that affect different areas, then this would fall into that scope.
Is there any kind of input from those people as to whether they wanna pay for that parcel tax or not?
Yeah, generally there's open houses and you get feedback from them. I know when we did the water project for East Princeton, Jacobson and Airport Road, we did a parcel tax for them, and we had, well, I know of one property owner that did not want to be part of it. And we excluded them
Is there
from
any
it.
kind of voting on it from those people?
I don't think they can vote, but they can come in and certainly say they don't want to be a part of it, because that's what happened when we did the water project back in 2011, 2012, somewhere around.
That's kind of hard not to be a part of something you're already attached to.
Yeah,
If-
they didn't want to be part of the water expansion,
Yeah.
so they were left out of it.
the methodology I'm gonna use, and stop me if you don't agree with it, but when we added the airport in East Princeton and Jacobson Road, they were new services. So there
Yes.
was no sewer up there, and we added the sewer to a benefit for
Water.
specific areas.
Water.
Water, thank you. Yeah, water to those areas. And the parcel tax was levied for 20 years, and it's due to come off, I believe, in 2030 for those areas. With Westridge, it was built, and the developer paid for the Claire Jester to be put in. Now that it's ready for replacement, the people in that, and I hesitate a little bit on this because I am a resident of Westridge, so I should declare that conflict. Now that it's ready to be replaced, it's not a new service, it's a replacement. The people of that subdivision have paid sewer reserves for 20 years. They've contributed to sewer lines everywhere else in town for 20 years through, we still bill them for the sewer every year for 20 years. To hit them with the parcel tax at this point to replace aged infrastructure doesn't seem fair on the other side.
So a similar comparison would be when the town did the upgrades to the water system that got up to to Deerview. Deerview was put in by a private developer. The service was not up to standard at the time, but it was still done, and it caused problems. So when the town, I believe you were the mayor, at the time you guys put in a new water line, there was no parcel tax just for Deerview because you were upgrading an existing system that was already there with the money that we had at the time. So, yeah, so it's a similar thing. If we go to move Westridge onto the sewer system and we put in a sewer line, we'll have to put in a lift station and all that stuff to push it back.
Yeah.
At that time, we will probably have to go to a parcel tax to pay for that because it's specifically for that community, whereas this is ongoing maintenance of an existing system that we are obligated to do.
Yeah, and that's a much better argument because that'll be a new service because it'll be an actual sewer system that connects to everything else. And we'll never have to replace the Claire Jester again. So it does improve future
If we had to go
services.
borrow that money specifically for that project, we can't charge the rest of the community for that money in that neighborhood. We would. It's like when they were the argument over the sidewalk down on Karina Avenue, and the council the day then said if we're gonna put in a sidewalk for Karina Avenue, we're gonna borrow the money or whatever, then that would have to be levied onto the residents that will use that sidewalk. We can't take the people in the tunnel and tell them they have to pay for a sidewalk over there that we're borrowing money for specifically, so.
I hope we get to vote on that.
What, sidewalk? We're not putting in a sidewalk.
So I just want to confirm, like, I favor this. I think this is a great solution. It's just my point is that since our last meeting to today, that's what's changed. It went from being a discussion, and then so decisions from staff have changed, and now it's here at council that we don't have to do that. And I agree that because it's maintenance or an upgrade to a system that we own and are required to maintain, then yes, it should come from that. I like that. I'm more in support of what other option was being presented to us at our last meeting.
Right.
That's my point.
Right.
Westridge, to me, would be the perfect example. If
Oh.
you're gonna put a system in there, a sewer system in there, then they're gonna have to pay for it.
If you change the sewer system, but if you're,
It's their system now. It's nothing to do with us.
it services them, but we're required to maintain it. Am I correct?
We inherited it.
We inherited it. So
It's no different than doing Culberson Lift Station. We're gonna do that project. It's no different. We're doing
Yeah,
that
it
in
was a
that area,
perfect
we're gonna do
example,
this
too.
in this area. It all falls under the money that we borrow to, update our infrastructure.
Okay, just basically, then that's not a good example. But the point is, if the system is in there and we're upgrading it or bringing up to standard or whatever, then that doesn't qualify in my mind to parcel tax. Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
So are we okay with that change?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I as counselor am.
Well, for replacement, that project is starting to get going. So the funds in there are where they are. Dike ownership study is ongoing. We have federal funding for that. The town hall upgrades. That's coming out of the land sales reserve, so that's on here as well.
Where did our direction come from, the town hall security upgrade?
That was passed as a resolution in the summer.
So it should be a 2025 project.
That we made that? Okay. We weren't required by some kind of upper level government or whatever?
No.
Okay,
It's just to control access to the building, so.
yep.
Especially because it's a shared use with court services.
Staff brought
and-
forward a report with a recommendation and council.
Yeah, but I was confused because of the 2026. I thought
Anyways.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
yeah, it never had a formalized project number, so that's why it's a 2026. It's, the project number was made up for this financial plan.
But then, if it wasn't, why wasn't it amended in last year's financial plan?
Yeah, it was passed by resolution.
He still has time to
Yeah,
And then,
finalize last year's.
yeah.
okay,
Hazard risk and vulnerability assessment, that's, we received money from the province, to collaborate with, emergency operations. So that's an ongoing project with Ed and the USIP. Okay. And then the Climate Action Reserve Project, this is just kind of a placeholder at this point. We have $195,000 of, Climate Action Reserve received through the local government climate action program. And I added it to Schedule C so that council had a avenue to pursue a project in that area with the money already approved. So it's very broad, very general in the financial plan, and as soon as a project comes forward for approval, then it's ready to go.
because we asked staff to make recommendations, so that will come to us on a committee of the whole, probably, discussion.
I just want to point out that one thing that's not on the list here is the arena condenser, and I know staff has flagged it as a high priority item. It was a high priority item for council as well, but it doesn't have a funding source. So we should have some discussion on how you want to proceed with that. If you want to proceed, we could look at short-term borrowing, I guess.
It could be short-term borrowing, it could be out of a given reserve. Yeah, lots of different things, but that was more gonna be a 5.2 discussion,
Okay.
cause that's in the, strategic priority list.
Okay.
And then,
Okay, so that's the Schedule C projects. Just to review the rest of the financial plan. Schedule D, proposed reserve transfers and adjustments for non-cash transactions. This is a placeholder at this point. The actual numbers come, I'm able to crunch these numbers after council approves the reserve transfers 2025, which is a February project. I present the list, you guys approve it, and then once those are done in their actuality, then I can actually do the reserve transfers for 2026, because I don't know what the finalized numbers are yet. I don't know where I'm starting from.
and those come from the auditors?
Those come from calculations of the bank balances after we're done the fiscal year, and figure out where all the reserves lay, and then the auditor will review them as part of their audit process. They come from me.
They come from you?
Yeah. And then Schedule E, it's also in legislation that our progressive tax exemption policy has to be in our financial plan. So that is in there, there's no changes to that. Schedule F is basically a definition of our reserve funds. We have to enable our reserve funds as per the community charter, section 181. So that lists basically our object, what the reserves get credited with, and what the use of funds can be for each reserve, with very few exceptions for statutory reserves. Council by bylaw can do interfund borrowing, so we can borrow from certain projects, even if it doesn't meet the use of funds, to fund another capital project if necessary. And that is the financial plan. Are there any further questions from council?
Questions?
We get, never mind, I know I can get.
Two other points I have on my list, which I'll go over quickly, and then I will ask for second reading. Actually, 3 points. I did fix some confusion on the budget document. There was public works wages and the recreation wages didn't quite display properly. Again, didn't affect the final numbers. It was just a display issue. Those are corrected in the budget book under the recreation and the general government budgets respectively. Segregation of capital levy. So I did have a question on the capital levy. Traditionally, it's been under general government budget as a tax. This year, it was segregated into 3 separate budgets, one for water, one for sewer, and one for protective services. That's where the interest comes out for the use of those projects. The capital levy is used by the water and sewer departments for fixing of capital projects, so the water main, Angela lift station, et cetera, et cetera. And then the new part of the capital levy was passed by AAP in 2025 for funding of the fire hall. So, so instead of having one lump value in general government, it has been segregated into those 3 separate budgets, which makes the presentation of the budget a little bit more consistent with the departments. So the actual value has not changed.
So, James, because I did ask you to explain that, because it was a change from the one draft. So does that actually create more work for you by having it separated like that, or is it we'll be able to visually see it, like the actual levy for the protective services, how much it costs for the fire hall addition, and instead of just one.
Yeah,
lump?
when we ask the province to approve our AAP process, that's the number that gets posted to the province. So that's so it's no extra work for me.
Okay,
So
but on the billing, will it show separately though?
It will not. No,
It will
it'll be
not.
just a capital levy.
It'll just be a capital levy.
I can segregate it, but that'll come more with the argument for the tax rates bylaw than it will for the financial part.
So it'll still just be one flat capital levy that could have.
Correct.
Are there any properties in town that wouldn't have a portion of it, like how there was some that were exempt because they didn't tie into the water line?
No.
Is there any, so everybody's
Yeah.
gonna be the same? Perfect,
Correct.
thank you.
Yeah, that's the difference between the capital levy and the parcel tax.
And a parcel tax, okay. Yeah. But the water one shows on water and sewer billing, does it not?
That's the infrastructure levy. So the infrastructure levy just goes into reserve. That only is billed out to users.
But that's billed
Yeah,
out on the water
that's
and
right.
sewer.
The capital
bills.
levy is part of the property value taxes.
So then, in a sense, the actual new parcel tax, or not, capital levy, sorry, correct wording, that's gonna be there for the fire hall, that will be the only thing on taxation, or is it also our loan?
No, it won't be part of the user fees. It's only part of the taxation.
So, capital levy, you said includes the
So
protective
capital levy,
services?
sorry, so capital levy, previous to this year was strictly for the $7 million borrowing for the water and sewer projects.
Okay,
This year it'll be the $7 million for the water and sewer projects and the capital levy that was assessed for the fire hall.
okay, so I just clarified that. So that's the taxation portion, but then there's also a capital levy that we.
There's no capital
on
levy
water
on
and
user fees.
On water and sewer?
There is not.
I thought there was.
No.
That we were.
That part is what we call the infrastructure levy. That was passed in
Yeah.
2019, and that's strictly to go into reserve for use of potential borrowing for emergency situations. So
Okay,
that's,
so there's still two.
yeah.
Thank you.
The wording is confusing, but it's, that's a user fee.
That's why there's,
Yeah.
some are on water and sewer and there is also on.
That's right. It has nothing to do with the capital levy though.
It just says levy.
It does, yeah. It's confusing wording, but.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? So, where do we go from here? So, I'm gonna ask council for, first and second readings on the budget. We can still amend it at second reading, but what it does is it allows it to be a document that I can present as a public consultation, process.
Can we go through 5.2 before we do
Yeah,
first and
we're
second?
going,
Yeah, we can-
yeah, we're going to,
Yeah,
Okay.
because
yes,
the condenser is not on here.
yeah,
Correct.
And that's gonna be on here if we're gonna vote on it.
yeah. Yeah, so we can go through 5.2 and
Shutting
then
the ring
add
down.
projects, and then I can go and come back and recess, and then I can present it again. Just, So,
Yes.
thank you. With no further questions, I will, I'll yield back to you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
5.2, who's talking about that, James? You or Carrie? Who's talking about 5.2?
I don't care. I can't.
care either, actually.
I
Somebody-
was asked to take all the surplus stuff and do a listing of it and hand it out to council, so that council could provide us with their priorities on the list of all the things that we don't have funding, currently have funding for. So the list was done up. It added up to $2.1 million. And then you can see from the, I don't even know what the word I would use for this. What is this? The table. I marked it down with everybody's votes to get what was the number one, number two. I also went to staff with what their projects' priorities were as well. And from what I got from both council and from staff is the list that's on page 87 of the agenda. And from what I can see from this list, number 1 and number 3 have been added to the capital plan for the financial plan, correct, James?
I would have to review that.
Yes.
The Westbridge, Kelchester,
Yes.
and the landfill scale,
Yes.
both have been added.
Yeah, but
Um,
as non, as projects that are relying on surplus operational revenue.
No, you found funding for them.
Correct.
So the other thing that was brought up that should be added, because it's at an emergency state, and Lyle can speak to it, is number 2, the arena condenser. And then council can determine on how they want to fund that project, but Lyle, you can speak to the
Yeah,
condenser.
I think we've presented it many times before. I mean, we've done a lot of upgrades to the ice plant system to make it more energy efficient, and it is that, but it is throttled by the ability to release the heat from the floor. So, and that it does that by way of the condenser, and so the condenser is undersized now for the size of the plant, and so in order to make it, to complete the project and make it as energy efficient as we possibly can, we need to upsize the condenser.
And that is number 2 on council's priority list as well.
James, can we find the money for it?
Yeah, so, with the financial plan, there's a, if you look at the general government budget, there is money being received, through the, insurance process and through the EMCR process for the 2021 flood. If that money comes in, then we should have ample funds to be able to fund that project.
But that's not a sure thing.
It's not a for sure thing at this point. I can't guarantee a for sure thing. It depends on receipts.
Could we
So-
take it out of the amenity
Well-
fund?
Well, you also have, where's that one for, just a second. Trying to find something else. See, then you
What do
Is
you
that
have
the-
budgeted to go?
what is that dog pound?
Oh.
That's insurance proceeds.
That's
That's also
under-
not
Yeah,
guaranteed.
that
So
was,
it's
uh,
in Schedule C still,
Yeah, that was the disaster
Damn it.
fund.
I was like, just cut that,
right?
$200,000 worth of dog pound.
But even, yeah, that's, like you said, the you removed the items that
Well,
the funding source has been designated, but the fundings haven't been confirmed, right? So that's even, this could be argued for anything that's under land sales reserve, because it's only dependent on sales.
how much do we have?
If you go
No,
to
'cause
page
we-
90 of
It was
your,
just an example of a reserve.
90 of your agenda is the list of things that have been put towards land sales. So the townhouse security, the scale, the industrial park expansion, statues, and then there's,
Yeah, it's all covered,
Um,
because we still have some existing funding from previous land sales as well.
Laws 165 and up.
Well, that was last year's quote, last fall's quote, and the way things have gone crazy, I would like to actually increase that to 185 and put a $20,000 contingency in there. Hopefully we don't need it, but.
So why don't we just take 200,000 allocated from the future amenity fund towards this?
Well, it's an amenity that we need to have, or else there is no future for it. If that compressor or condenser is replaced, will that help with the freezing of the ice
Yeah.
issues that are happening?
Yeah,
So that heat can stay on?
yeah, yeah,
You read my mind.
I've heard your mind.
Well, we've needed it for years. So.
yeah. I mean, the condenser we have now was sized for the existing ice plant, and that was done in 1996. So, I mean, it's well served its time, so.
And it allows for, even though it's not a future amenity, although
It is.
if you say it's still something we can,
Yeah,
it's definitely something that has to be done.
So,
I
yeah.
would agree on that.
Okay, yeah, so my recommendation is 200,000 out of the amenity fund, and,
So-
council's okay with it.
And yeah, I'm very okay with it, but like, we still had that surplus of, funding that came through from the, revenue taxation portion, not taxation, but the 1% from, what's the
From
other
Hydro,
one? you
yeah,
used?
we're
Yeah,
still
from-
waiting for that to
From
come.
utility.
Yeah,
So,
we're
and
still
it-
waiting, it's offset by the fact we're still waiting for emergency funding from the province.
Right, so you have said that before, that we basically have borrowed from that to cover until we get paid back from insurance or EMBC. So have you borrowed the full amount for that, is the question that I've had a few times.
Yeah, there's not sufficient funding to move that forward that I can guarantee that it's gonna be there at the end of the day.
So could we make the motion to be that, and then when we get the insurance funding or the EMBC funding return,
I'd rather
that we
deal with
put that
us.
back, that amount back into the future amenities?
Yeah, so what we can do is we can do a borrowing from that fund, as opposed to taking it from the fund. We can borrow from the fund and put it in the arena.
Make it,
No, if we borrow it, then we have to pay it back with interest. Just take it from it. If we get the other funding, if we get the insurance funding, then we repay ourselves from the stuff that we used, and we put that where we allocate it at the time we get the money back. If we get it all back, then we allocate it at that time. If we get part of it back, we allocate that at that time. But I would really strongly urge you not to borrow against a reserve fund that we have, because it is for an amenity. If we borrow from it, then we have to pay it back with interest, and we're
Have to
going
do
to be
bylaw.
chasing
And you have to do a bylaw.
ourselves. So just take the money, allocate it from the future amenity fund, because it is an amenity, and we'll deal with it then. We did not get the grant, so there's no rec center, there's no pool right now.
Mhm.
It's still it's a dream and it's a vision, but right now we have a need, we have the fund. Let's just take it and use that money for the facility that we have, instead of waiting for something in the future. If we get the money, the full amount that we're asking for back from insurance and DFA, then we can allocate that at that time.
perfect, that's
But
my point.
If
there.
we start borrowing, then we're gonna start chasing, and then we're never gonna, it's like at home, if you're gonna use your credit card to pay for your groceries and you don't pay it off, then you're paying extra for the groceries and the savings that you used your flip app for, no good anymore. Well, no, I'll put it in the simplest form, right?
Right.
You might as well just pay it full price.
So basically, what you're asking James to do is to amend the 5-year financial plan to take 200,000 from the amenity fund and to add the arena condenser to the capital.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
we don't
just
have to
never-
change anything else in the budget, we just take from that fund, put it in that fund, And no other project is sidebarred for this year.
No, but it actually gets added into the budget then.
Yeah, it's just an added capital project.
Yeah,
So
Do you need
With the
five-
source of funds being the future menu.
Do you, have,
Yeah.
do you need 5 minutes, or can we just
Yeah, if you wanna give me a recess for 5 or 10 minutes, I can add it on, but
council approve, agree with that?
I agree with that.
Sure.
Okay, that's a majority, so, okay. Motion to recess till James can get this figured out, so I'll give you 10 minutes, James.
I'll have it done at 9.
Gould and Elliot, all in favor? Carried, we're gonna recess. You wanna pause this, or?
86.
Okay, motion to, go back.
So moved.
Thank you, seconder. Thank you. Carried. Okay, James.
All right,
Let's do
thank you,
this.
Mr. Mayor. So, as per council's direction, I'll just show the changes. Schedule B, so you see the capital expenses are 19,971 now. They were 19,771 before, so that adds an extra 200,000 to the capital expense line, which makes the total expenses 29,998,000. Which means the reserves are now drawing we are now adding 44,000, not 244,000 to reserves, which keeps a balanced budget. Schedule C, 2005-10. So it's a replacement of both because last year we did and help me out, Lyle, I'm not
The compressor.
we did the compressor last year, and so it's a continuation of the same project. So the condenser will have 200,000 added to it, which is to supply and install the condenser for this year. And the source of funding is future amenity funds.
And that's not a green initiative?
No, I did get a Fortis rebate on the work we did on the compressor, small rebate, but there might be a rebate for the condenser, I'm not sure, we'll definitely look into it.
Yeah, I don't think we can probably put that into the climate action. I do have to report that to the province, so.
I
We
do
probably
not
wanna-
believe,
we
I do
probably
not
wanna
believe
have
that
one
was,
that's a slam dunk.
included in the list.
Yeah,
Okay,
so that is the financial plan.
questions? Somebody wanna move it?
Should we maybe go over the 9.1, 9.2? They are
Yeah.
budget related, and then
Mhm.
pass it
Oh,
after
yeah.
those two.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Alright. 9.1.
Okay, I'm gonna declare a conflict of interest and leave the room for this.
What? Is your, the
I'm a
represent-
voting member of that board.
Okay. So, I guess, you guys talked about this at a previous meeting, I believe, wasn't?
Not really. It wasn't,
Didn't you guys talk about the request?
So during the, I'll sort of give some context, I suppose. So during the budget meeting on December the 2nd, correspondence was received from the Princeton District Museum and Archive Society asking the town, who now funds the museum manager, to fund an assistant manager to help supplement. The current manager is nearing retirement age, and they wanted an assistant manager to train for succession planning purposes. And at the time, council, I did receive it was fairly lukewarm, the response I got from council, so it was not put into the financial plan as written. So I'll seek council's input and adjust the financial plan if I was mistaken.
Gary, any comment on this?
I think at the current where we're at, I would advise against that until we get a change
Financial situation?
of, yeah.
I'm kind of in the same agreement. I mean, I understand the position, and I actually commend them for thinking ahead of time. But I also believe CAO and I have talked about we also need to do a review of that agreement. And I think if we were to do anything, and I know the CEO and I talked about at some point this year sitting down with the Museum Society to start a review process. But I'll be honest, it's not really high on the priority right now, but it is for near the end of the year, so before next year's budget. So I would probably postpone this for right now and just send them a letter saying that next year we could look at it again next year and But right now, I mean, if we're gonna cut something to hire another staff member somewhere else, I'm not comfortable with that right now either. Cause we have cut, you know, we've told pretty much everybody else there's no staff, so, no extra staff, so,
And ultimately, that's what this request is another paid position
yeah.
Correct.
to start, which I like, again, and I have said it, is the succession planning, you commit, like, it's a good thing, it's a smart plan, but it's something that has to actually be a report back, I would think, from the director of the department on the evaluating the need and then what the actual cost is, cause there's no cost attached to this request at all. So how do we determine whether or not it can fit in the budget?
Well, it would be what would we start a position like that at, James?
Well, right now, the cost burden and it's not salary, this is cost burden, so it includes all the benefits and all that. But I believe the budget provides for $95,000 for 2025 for museum manager,
So we'd be looking at another $80,000,
approximately, depending on what we end up paying an assistant manager.
which we could fix Jared's dump truck for.
So, for me, I would accept this as a request
Yeah.
to be considered for
Yeah.
the budget, but it would be considered for next year's budget, because I would want a report back on, like, what is it, the actual cost, there's not.
Yeah, I would suggest, my recommendation is that we send a letter saying we received this, that we've considered it due to financial constraints for this year. We will ask that it be resubmitted next year, but work with the director of the department to present a costed position if that's where we're gonna go. And I agree, like, I mean, if we're gonna keep a position there and Todd is thinking about retirement, then we should probably, before Todd leaves, at least have a transition period or whatever, but I don't know where we have the funding for this right now.
And it's a little bit different too, in that usually if there's gonna be a position filled, the say on that position is an application process or whatever is done by the employer. So this is kind of like implying, you may be funding a position for the learning, but who's to say that position is gonna be filled by that person that did the learning?
Right.
So it's a little bit of chicken and egg.
No, I think the letter should come from Gary or Lyle and it just state that, you know, this year we need to keep our purse strings tight.
And typically, when we add a position like this, it is, it's gonna be a permanent thing, so it'll be permanent manager, assistant manager.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they more, based on the tone of the letter, wanted more of a succession plan, so it might be 2 positions for, say, 2 or 3 months to get that person up to speed, and then back to 1, which would be a
Yeah.
completely different kettle of fish.
There's a lot more conversation to be had here. I mean, if this is a temporary position to move into a full-time position, as Todd or whoever, the manager, I shouldn't use his name, decides that he's going to retire, then we should probably work that out prior to it coming to a budget, so. Do you want a motion to that, or do we wanna just,
Just
yeah,
2 things. In terms of, George, he's not allowed in our discussion of this.
he's not,
I know he's not allowed in the voting. Is he also not allowed in the discussion?
he declared a conflict and he's made that choice.
So can you
I
not-
agree with that.
No, if you declare a conflict and if you sit in on a conversation and you sway the conversation, then you are in a conflict. So the minute you declare a conflict, you are in a conflict to discuss this with the rest of council in any capacity at all.
Did he have to?
No, I don't personally think so. I mean, he's not financially gaining from this, and there's no perceived financial gain, but
But
he
since he did-
declared it because he's a voting member. And unfortunately, the way that our agreement with them works is we are voting members at the board table, him and I, as the representatives for the town, but we don't get to vote at the AGM. If we wanna be voting members at the AGM, we have to have a membership. So that needs to change if we,
I think we need to look at that whole position and
yeah, and that's why I said we we need a
the
review.
rule in general.
Yeah.
So I'll make the motion then to
Okay,
accept.
just, please,
Oh, sorry.
two things. The other one was, I wouldn't like to see this go back to them without a request for some kind of information. We need more information. I don't care what it is, but I don't wanna just say, no, we're just waiting for, you know, till we come into money or whatever. Give us some more background or whatever in terms of, before we can make a decision.
Yeah, we'll leave that up to staff to rate how they wanna explain it, but that's kind of the gist of it, is like, there's a process, but it's to hire people, and this isn't really the proper way to do
Anyway, I
it.
would second it.
So motion to receive the request then and defer it to the department head for review
For
of
appropriate
contracts.
comment.
For further report back to us.
Okay.
Sorry, excuse me.
All in favor? Carried. And then the next one is, a request from the arts. George?
Get in here.
Allison.
Next one's from the Arts Council. I believe you guys also discussed this briefly at a budget meeting.
You have to
Did
remind
you?
me what we.
Did you want me to give a little context on it, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, because I was told you guys discussed this while I was.
They were supposed to make a presentation to town and did not arrive.
And they did not make one to the regional district either.
Yeah, so, again, this is a request, $5,000 to $10,000, our current grant is $5,000. They've asked us to up it to $10,000, largely to cover, operational expenses. There's no specific ask or request in it. The letter gives some background as to, their operations and how they do general arts promotion in the municipality. We did ask them to present for council, I believe, at the community of the whole meeting in December, and they did not attend.
Just a point of clarification, I actually think they're looking for 15,000. When I read page 98 of your package there, requesting an increase of 10,000 to our currently budgeted amount of 5,000. So I think it's actually 15,000 they're looking for.
Yeah, I read it as 10, but
Requesting an increase of 10 to our currently budgeted amount of 5.
that would be good.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Again, same kind of process as the museum. You know, if they presented some sort of need for the money, then we could kind of debate that. I would have council debate that, but council's fairly lukewarm on the increase. So in the current financial plan, it's listed as 5 for 2026 moving forward. So I'll ask for council's input and thank you.
So the 5,000 we give them is a 5,000 that they need to be able to leverage that money with the BC Arts Council. So my concern with this is we give them the 5,000 for that. We give them a very good deal at the art gallery. And James, do you have any idea what they actually pay in rent for a year there? It's like a small percentage of sales, right?
I believe so.
Do they pay the utilities, or do we pay them?
We pay them. They're part of the library bill.
So the in-kind, and then we also did the PXA this year at no cost, Nadine's time at no cost. When you add up the in-kind, it is rather large amount of money that the town does support the Arts Council. So at this time, I mean, and without them showing up either here or at the regional district, I would have a really hard time supporting an increase to their ask right now. What do you think, George?
Well, I don't vote on their board, although I sit on their board, so I don't see myself in a conflict here. It's a very ambitious group. They have some very ambitious plans. I'm not terribly clear on this particular plan. It's a little muddy for me. I know they wanna try to leverage, some of it again with, other sources. But I know they also have feelers out for, funding from multiple sources, and I sort of sense this is what, just part of that, approach to try to receive as much funding as possible. Hopefully some of it comes in, and if some doesn't, they have other sources coming in. I really don't have a decision on this. It's a very interesting group. They're working very hard, like I say, very ambitious. But I'm not clear on where this funding would go.
It'd be very interesting, you said they have a bunch of great plans and whatever. Be interesting to know, I might just disagree with Mr. Mayor in terms of, for the most part, they're volunteers in our community, and they're bringing in a whole aspect of, you know, we fund a lot of different things in our community, and we put some big bucks into a lot of different things in our community. This is a arts sort of segment of things, and it would be interesting to know what you're talking about when you say they have a lot of great ideas. If that was in front of us, and there might be some things in there that.
But unfortunately, they had a chance to present to us and they didn't come. They had a chance to present to the regional district and they didn't come. Like, this is the other part of it, is like,
Okay, if that's the case, then I wouldn't have any problem saying, we don't have enough information. And in order to be considered next year, the same procedure isn't gonna work. We need you to spell out what you're talking about in terms of where the money's gonna go and what new things we're gonna add to our community.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Is the request for an increase in the line item going forward or just one time? My understanding is increased.
I think it's.
I think it's ongoing.
I think
Right.
it's
I
ongoing.
believe it's ongoing.
Because they're asking for an increase in their line item,
Yeah.
not
And it does say what it's for. It says,
a operation.
for core expenses like rent and staffing.
Which we already give it.
Yeah, we give them,
Kind.
it's a percentage of the sales down at the gallery, but I think they're trying to rent another space is what it is, so. And they do pay for staffing at the gallery, which according to their budget is fairly high actually, so.
Filling up another possible empty Bridge Street or
I'm
Vermilion.
not clear where they wanna go, but it sounds like they would like to rent
I
something.
know they were looking at buying a place too, so.
Yeah.
I guess that was a discussion on the table.
But is it our, I mean,
So my feeling on this is that we did, just like at the last meeting, not have enough information to make a decision for this year's budget. Especially because it's not just for an event, it's an increase overall for like $10,000 over possibly 10 years or forever, right? So my feeling on this is that we did ask them to come back to us to give us information so that we could ask these questions. So for this year, it's not enough time now. We have to start our budgeting process to meet our legislative requirements to adopt. So I'm not in support of doing it for this year.
I would absolutely support that if what you just said is included in what we send back to them.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if there is a specific project that they need funding for in 2026, then as a nonprofit group, we could recommend that they apply to our nonprofit grant application.
and that is out right now. This was advertised yesterday.
But to request a line item increase, we need more information.
I agree.
I agree. So is that your motion?
That would be my motion.
And your second?
Would be
All in favor?
And to send them a letter response.
Um,
second.
with that, I think what council should look at, and maybe we should ask maybe James to come back at a later date. It's not necessary right now, but as because we do fund a lot of things like rodeo, and we try to support the Arts Council, we try to support all these different organizations. Maybe we do come up with a policy on how we put them into a line item and a review period, so that we can say, or the next budget period, they can say, we're gonna, for 4 years, we're going to fund X amount, and off they go. Whoever's in these positions next year. So, I mean, I think that would be a prudent thing, and it allows us to be able to, plan out on our 5-year plan, and be able to allow them to plan out a few years out, and then we could go from there. But I think a proper policy on how we put you in as a line item and whatnot should be developed and brought back to council for approval. And then people can apply, and we can move from there.
So in the past, we've asked for, or in kind isn't generally something that you can say that $5,000 went in kind to rodeo for helping based on our rental waivers or staff garbage pickup or whatever, like expense wages is the word I'm looking for. Is there, or are we tracking that now? Like we've talked about it before, so that we can say this association, like when the Princeton Exhibition, I can't say it, PXA was active, we were doing a lot of in-kind stuff. So that was their allocation was a certain amount, but then the in-kind would come off of that. We're not doing that with all our groups. Is there a way to track it? Because we have the Harvest Festival, which the town is supporting, and
Yeah, there's always, obviously, we track it. I wouldn't say it's that specific. Like, we track how much we spend at the PXA, but how much we spend on the PXA for the Harvest Festival, or how much we spend on the PXA for the Halloween Family Fun Night, or how much we spend on the PXA for rodeo, may present some difficulty if some of those projects overlap. In general, we open up the PXA, does that get subdivided into each project and called in-kind contribution? It becomes kind of slightly muddy. What I would say is yeah, we can absolutely drop a policy of how people would take a grant and aid and put it to a line item. Right now, we've kind of left it up to council's discretion when they want to see ongoing funding, and when they don't, we have the grant and aid policy, which as council will recall, when we first started, was sort of a free-for-all. Everyone could put in and get funding for whatever object they wanted, and we've kind of turned it into more of a startup or a project-specific grant. So if you wanted to get something started up, if you wanted to have a one-time special event of some sort, that's kind of where the grant and aid is morphed to. For specific operational funding annually, a presentation is written up, and largely what the Arts Council, what the museum has done is passed policy, is request it, and council will debate it, and if it winds up in the budget, then it's up to council's discretion. So, but we can formalize the process, and we'll look at that. And bring
I think
it
it's
to
just
council.
good practice, because if it's something we're gonna be funding ongoing, then it should just be a line item. It shouldn't be something that we debate every year. If it's something that we believe in, it gives everybody, that stability. But if we put a review process in there at a certain time period, then that there's gonna be a review, and so I know that's why I was thinking that way. I mean, that's what we've kind of done at the regional district over the years, is we've gotten rid of those ongoing grant and aids, because there's something that we've committed to funding.
Mm-hmm.
So they become a line item, and then off they go.
which is my understanding. How we used to do it with PXA was it was a line item.
Yeah, they got $10,000 towards.
But it wasn't like the town of Princeton wrote a check for $10,000 or whatever to the Princeton Exhibition. It was our expenses got billed to that line item.
In the beginning, it was, I think, a check, that was
Yeah.
years
Yeah,
ago.
it was.
Several years ago, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, and
Yeah.
then it moved to, here's an allotment of money, and the town will deduct off the services that they're doing.
Yeah, cause I think when we were on council, we just gave them 10 grand, didn't we, Randy?
No, when I was PXA president in the early nineties, I would go to council and
Yeah, and ask.
regional district and ask for a check, and it was, I think at that time, a couple thousand from each.
Yeah.
But since we've been on council, it hasn't been that.
No, it changed, I think, the previous council
Right.
changed that.
So,
Yeah.
so I would see that kind of goes along with what Mayor Coyne's saying, that the groups have the line item and then are in kind.
We also had a
costs
bank
built
account
into
just
it.
for racing days, right? We had an
That was
account,
for their,
Right,
but we backed their
yeah,
purse, right? And
That's-
we gave it to them, they used it, it came back, we put it back in the bank, it stayed there until racing days was gone.
If you have specific costs to groups or organizations, and we keep track of that, that makes sense to me. If you're gonna try and put a staff member to try and dissect everything that we spend, you may as well put another line item for a staff member to look after all this stuff. Like,
is that what you think I'm asking?
pardon me?
Is that what you think I'm asking?
What I'm hearing is that we want to know, to be able to specifically say, we're giving you this money here in money, and here we're giving you a certain amount of money in terms of work we do for you on the side and everything else. If it's a specific job that we do for over here, then fine, add it to it. But if we're gonna try and dissect, we did $10,000 worth of work up at the PXA, which benefited the rodeo, which benefited this and benefited that, and then we need to divide that into portions. To me, it's overkill.
So from a financial perspective, when this council first got elected, the PXA was owned by the municipality, but largely operated by the PXA. Since the municipality has taken it over, it's much more akin to the arena. So it's a municipal facility, it's municipally owned, it's municipally operated. So when we fund it, we have a PXA line item in the budget. The expenses come out of that line item, and they're stored in there, and if we rent the PXA or give it in kind, then it becomes revenue on the other side that offsets those expenses. Much like we don't track if, the U13 minor posse booked the arena, how much staff time and resources are going to support that team. It doesn't, it really starts to dig into the minutia and not have a benefit to managing the facility. So, yeah, that's kind of how I see it now. Is it is a municipal facility, and the budget for that is on the budget already.
So I was not asking for there to be like whittled down. It's just when you're asking, when a user group is coming and they're asking for an increase, and that amount is, we're giving it to them, but also taking into consideration what we've already given in kind. Not break it down from minor hockey to U7, U9, U whatever. Minutia. It's not.
Yeah,
be so
let-
different.
Okay, anyways, do you need a motion for that, or can you just do that on your own?
I can do that.
Okay, perfect. So we'll go back to bylaw, and we will do the,
So, I think, before I start, did we have a motion on the floor for 9.2 or?
they both were told to
We
send
did
a letter.
already.
Okay, all right, so, at this time, I would ask council to, approve the first and second reading of the, financial plan bylaw and refer, staff to a period of public consultation.
so moved, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Elliott, seconder? Nobody wants to second the financial plan? We doing
Well, I
this
have a
again?
caveat. I will second it, but I still want to see the printed copy.
I will make sure that gets out to everyone, tonight.
Okay, moved, seconded. Any last comments? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. One last thing, can we, send a thank you to Rod for his years of service, at the rodeo?
Absolutely.
Since he announced that he is stepping down. Maybe a card.
Rod from Rodeo Club stepping down.
Oh, no.
Yes.
And, with that, I will, ask for a motion to adjourn.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Gould, seconder, Councilor McLean, all in favor? Carried.